Hi everyone, it's Becky here in the car with my mom driving around the neighborhood. So I'm trying to find a lovely place to capture some vibes of autumn. And these trees and houses caught my attention. So I spent about 5 minutes to do a very quick abstract draft of all of these elements that I want to include in my sketch. Okay, so now let me show you my seeing process and also the conceptual understanding of the scenery. So I'm seeing this horizontal line over here that these two houses are situated on, and they're not too big. Yeah, the trees will be like way bigger than these two houses, so this scenery looks much more compelling. I also blocked in these two trees here on the left, their placements, and also this sycamore tree on the right, the two major boughs, and the huge canopy. I also blocked in the backdrop of the little forest of evergreen trees, which is about four, probably more over here behind the houses. I also have a clear understanding of this perspective of the street. Okay, so these two lines of the curves are close to parallel. They're trying to merge together into a vanishing point somewhere behind these two houses. Okay, so now based on my conceptual understanding of the scenery, I'm ready to draw. So I'm going to start drawing the little purple tree first, the major boughs and branches. I may also see some smaller branches sticking out from the piles of leaves. And every tree is divided into numerous small clusters of leaves joining together. So as I'm drawing, I'm suggesting that the clusters, and trying not to lift my pen from the paper, getting these little squiggles continually onto the paper to finish drawing the purple tree. And then I'm suggesting some loose green leaves and this shrub over here covering the bottom of the red tree. They're like little cubes joining together. And then a house behind on the other side of the street. Okay, so now I'm drawing the red tree behind, and it's almost like double the height of the little purple tree, starting with those major branches that I can see sticking out, and these loose little maple leaves hanging on these branches. Now I see a lady passing by walking her dog, and I really want to capture her into my sketch, starting with the head, and the rest of the body takes over another 6 units of the head. The leash, and using my short-term memory to get the drawing of the golden retriever done. So they crossed the street and disappeared within sight in like 5 seconds. So yeah, I had to use my short-term memory to get it done. And a lot of sketchers, I believe they're doing the same thing. Now, coming back to the red tree to suggest some more fluffy red leaves and more branches. So I want to make sure that these leaves are standing on branches, not flying in the air. And I want to expand the tree's canopy a little bit more into the middle of my sketch. So a lot of these leaves are pretty much touching the little blue house in the middle. Yeah, so expanding the canopy area a little bit wider. Okay, and adding some more little squiggles to finish this loose spherical shape of the tree's canopy. Some more little arms touching the blue house. Okay, now I'm ready to draw the solid shape of the blue house, starting with the left side of the roof and adding in the body part and the windows, shading in some window panels with solid brown ink, and the little fence on this left. And some bushes, yeah, on the left of the fence. Okay, so now I think I want to draw the line of the curb, and then the bottom of these little bushes. Okay, coming back to the house to get more roof shapes done. So I'm seeing a combination of triangles, trapezoids attached together to form the roof. And the chimney is a very skinny rectangular prism, drawing the pattern of the shingles using very quick parallel lines. And each roof section has like a framing shingles and then more horizontal rows of shingles, adding another pair of window panels there and up there as well. They're like eyes. So windows are always like eyes looking at us. And drawing the foreshortened car parked in front of one of the garage doors. And yeah, so this house has 2 garage doors. And yeah, little lamps on both sides of the garage. And each garage door is kind of like a waffle, containing a bunch of rectangles or squares, adding details for the exterior of the house. And some more fences on the right side of the house. Now I'm starting to draw this little house, and the roof is kind of like a triangular prism, very foreshortened from this angle, drawing the driveway of the blue house and the curb line. Now I'm starting to draw the major branches of this tree here in the foreground, the stop sign, and the street sign, Sunwood Drive, which is a really nice name. The stop sign is landing inside the curb. Drawing some fluffy leaves. Okay, now coming back to this large tree here on the right, expanding the length of these boughs, and then some more fluffy green leaves for the little bush on the bottom of this tree. And there's some more leafy clusters tucked in between the boughs, which is really cute. Yeah, and some more little clusters here to finish my sketch here on the right. Now, coming back to the second house, finishing the roof, which is kind of unique. And there's a little tree planted in front of it on the lawn. It has happy arms of branches, and the leaves are almost all gone from that little tree. And then adding some more little shrubs planted in front of the house. And most of these houses in my neighborhood, they look pretty different from one another. Each of these houses has their own personalities based on the design of the roofs and the structures, the windows. And this piece of land, many decades ago, it used to be a forest. And around 100 years ago, people are starting to develop this area into the city of Delta. And the city of Delta is a suburban city of the greater Vancouver area. Now, I'm just adding these smaller details for the exterior of these houses and these fallen leaves piled up around the curb. Adding a chimney, accentuations. Okay, now it's time to summarize these leaves on this likely a sycamore tree. The leaves are very similar but way bigger than regular maple trees. I think they're in the same big family, sycamore and maple trees. Their leaves are very similar. Okay, so now adding some more for the higher part of the canopy, doodling one little leaf at a time. And these leaves, just like all other maple leaves, they're kind of like little hands dangling down from the canopy. And when the wind is blowing, these leaves are like little hands waving at us, which are very adorable. And then drawing some more. I'm almost there. And again, when you're drawing a tree, you don't have to include the entire canopy into your sketch. So this is about maybe I'll say about half of the tree's canopy, using loose little segments to suggest the bark texture. Drawing the curb and the sidewalk here closer to me. Finishing the essential details for the parked car. And some more fallen leaves on the driveway. Now shifting my sketchbook around, some more fallen leaves here, a few steps outside my car, the curb, and some more landing on the lawn. And I see some rocks on this lawn there. Now I just switched to my brown oil-based pencil from Faber-Castel to draw the evergreen trees towering behind the houses, just so this sketch is not way too intense with so many detailed lines done with the same pen. So mixed media is actually pretty nice. Using this brown pencil, which is having a much lighter tone compared to my dark sepia ink from the fountain pen, I'm pushing these trees more behind, so their shapes are a little bit more faded out compared to those foreground trees and the houses. Okay, and some more suggestions of density of leaves. And here's the look of my finished line work. The sun is playing hide and seek behind the clouds. Now I'm ready to have fun painting watercolors. So starting to paint the sky as usual, just wetting it with a little bit of clear water, using my large tip Holbein brand water brush, and getting this cerulean blue onto the sky area, using slanting brush strokes, adding a bit of turquoise blue for the lower part of the sky for a little bit of color transition. And glazing these trees first with this diluted lemon yellow. So when I'm sketching on a bright sunny day, I like to do this underpainting technique, which is very easy for the very first layer of everything under the sky. The warm, illuminated world that looks and feels cozy and soothing. And if you observe the streets on a bright sunny day, it's not gray. It's actually stained with this warm yellow glow from the sunlight. And I'm going to proceed to painting the brightest, the warmest colors first. This is diluted orange, and then slightly more concentrated permanent red, blending into the orange. So this is actually a red maple tree, but since the sun is going through the leaves, it's partially orange, red-orange. The middle to the lower part of the canopy could be purplish. So I'm going to shade that later. Now I'm painting the first layer for the little purple tree using permanent rose and permanent violet. So for the 60% on the right side of the canopy is more purplish. And so yeah, these are the pure colors of these two trees before shading. So now I want to take a break from these two trees. Shading now might make the colors very muddy, so it's better to wait for it to dry. So now I just mixed yellow ochre with lime green to paint the illuminated side of the sycamore's tree canopy. slightly higher ratio of yellow ochre as I feel, and slightly bit more lime green here for the bottom part to create a sense of volume easily, wet into wet. And now I want to paint the evergreen trees behind the houses. So I'm using a pretty high ratio of yellow ochre mixing into lime green because these evergreen trees behind, they are so illuminated by the sun. Now, a pretty high ratio of lime green mixed with viridian green for these couple of trees here on the right, getting a little less sunlight. So I'm just playing with different ratios mixing together of 3 colors: yellow ochre, lime green, and viridian green, and slight bit of water control as well. As you can see, some brush mark is a little bit more diluted, and putting on a bit of viridian green and a tiny bit of yellow ochre mix for these portions of the trees. So as I'm punching on these brush marks of greens, I do not go back and start rubbing. I love the shapes and traces of these brush marks and a bit of watermarks at the same time. And yeah, just keep laying these definitions of greens on without going back. So if we go back and start rubbing, we're going to disturb the spontaneity of watercolors. So just be expressive, make your marks, and let them be. So yeah, that's the first layers for the foliage. Okay, so now I'm ready to shade the evergreen trees behind. I just mixed a shade color of green by mixing viridian green and burnt sienna. Switching to my small tip water brush, which is Faber-Castel brand. So now I'm trying a new brush from Faber-Castel, and it has these delicate, sharper brush marks. Really nice for painting finer details after the first layer. So again, these little brush marks are just simply mixing viridian green and burnt sienna together. The shapes of my brush marks are following my sensation of how the branches are laid out on those trees. Okay, and so most of the shaded areas are actually on the right side of these trees, but not all the time, because foliage clusters are kind of like semi-transparent, and the sun could go through it. Okay, so some more bits of shade behind the rooftops. Probably shadows from the houses, and also most of the time lower parts of trees canopies are more shaded than the higher parts. And putting on little subtle bits of diluted shade of green for this sycamore tree here in the foreground. Okay, so now it's time to add a higher sense of volume for these warmer colored trees. By shading them, we're adding some more heavier tones of vibrant reds and oranges. So now I'm starting with this more concentrated permanent red mixed with orange for the middle and right side of this maple tree. For this purple tree is permanent violet with permanent red, focusing on the right half of the canopy, trying not to overpaint. The left side is very bright, yeah, shining in the sun. So I'm very thankful for the sunshine shining for me while I'm painting. I think when I was drawing it, the sun was playing hide and seek behind the clouds most of the time, so everything was shaded. Now it's just much easier to paint these colors with a good balance of light and shade when the sun is fully outside the clouds. Now I'm illuminating the lawn area with yellow-green, which is lemon yellow mixed with lime green. For the roof is more like a raw umber color in diluted versions. So I think the roofs are pretty bright. And now I think I'm ready to add shadows on the lawns using Viridian green. And these bushes on the other side, using these dotty brush marks to suggest foliage texture. Okay, so now I'm ready to paint that dramatic shadow in the middle of the intersection, which is cobalt blue mixed with permanent violet, diluted. So some part is a little bit heavier, blue-violet, because shadows is always uneven. Some part could be a heavier gray. So shadows from trees, they're always kind of like blue, purplish gray, especially from red trees. The shadow could be more purplish. Painting the lawn here in the foreground and these little shrubs. And using a leftover brown to paint the purple trees branches. Burnt sienna, a little diluted, to paint the fences. And then moving on to the last part of this painting process is to paint the houses. This one is light blue, which is cerulean blue diluted with quite a lot of water. The other one I think is kind of pinkish. And the stop sign is a vibrant red. This house has some lovely red frames on the exterior that kind of balances with the red-orange tree colors on the left. Shading the boughs of this tree with some darker tone of brown, leaving the left edges shining, facing the sun. And then painting the little bits of trees and shrubs that I forgot to paint. Adding some brown for that chimney and another layer of burnt sienna mixed with some raw umber for the roof. Grabbing some leftover gray to shade this house here on the very left. And using leftover yellow ochre to paint the little dog, happily walking in the sun with his or her owner, using leftover dark blue, and leave the left side of her body paper white, catching the sunlight, so she really stand out. And then last bit of shading here, the car is white but shaded with a blue purplish shade. Same for the garage doors. Shadow from the curbs. Another quick layer for the boughs. And adding some shading brushstrokes for this cluster of leaves below the sycamore tree. Lots of burnt sienna into Viridian green. Using some leftover yellow-orange for these fallen leaves. Lining along the curbs. And just intensifying these dark green shadows using very small bits of brush marks. And a bit of leftover green shade for these puffy green shrubs here in the front, and they're close to the house. Okay, now I'm going to paint one more shadow here, just a few steps away outside the car, using the bluish gray, mostly cobalt blue, and intensify that shadow a little bit more. Painting a stronger layer of blue, this time with more cobalt blue for that blue house. The green sign of the street. And that's very much it of my little sketch on location here in the car, staying warm. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. So life has been a bit busy, so I will try my best to have another video coming up in the next 5 to 7 days. So have a great, happy autumn, everyone. Take care. Bye.